How's it going, guys? In this video I have a pair of real Shimano shifters and fake Shimano shifters. These are the EF-51 series from Shimano, and I bought this pair used from a bike shop for about 30 bucks, and I bought this shifter on eBay, this front and rear shifter, for only $14 brand new. So I'm very sure that this is a fake Shimano shifter. And so what we're going to be doing in this video is comparing the differences between what you get when you pay for more with the real shifter versus the fake one. And so I've already loosened the two Phillips screws on both these things, so we can remove these top caps, just like that. And immediately, if you look inside of this brand new shifter, you can see that there's already corrosion happening on the inside of these gears. And so even though on the outside everything's nice and shiny and clean, they are not doing a great job with the smaller components and making sure that they have the proper coatings for corrosion resistance. You can see that there. In terms of the actual shift quality, these things feel really good, I'm not gonna lie. They have a really nice kind of mechanical, reassuring click to them. You can hear it. And you know, same goes for this. Got nice spring tension. Obviously I would hope that's the case because these are brand new springs, hopefully. So yeah, everything feels very crisp. You can do the full 3 shifts with this or just the 1 shift. So in that regard, in terms of shifting quality, I would say these are really good and inexpensive. The main concern that I have with these fake shifters, however, is this brake lever. I really don't like how this brake lever kind of stops right there. Like it doesn't feel all that well put together, and it also stops sooner than I would hope. So this angle is a lot smaller than what I would expect from other types of shifters that I would be using, or brake levers. And then another thing you can do if if you just bought one of these things is you can see where a little screw would have gone if this was a real Shimano shifter, and that screw is not present on these fakes. You can also see, and that screw, by the way, is how you adjust the throw on your brake lever. So they just didn't include that because apparently that was too much. And yeah, so that's big. Another thing is just kind of like the edges on the plastic castings on these fakes are rough sometimes. They kind of hurt your fingers. That can obviously be resolved by just taking a file to it and fixing it that way. And then also you're seeing like there are some blemishes in the paint and stuff like that on these fakes. So it's not perfect, but for 14 bucks, really hard to complain. And you are getting great value. There's no denying that, because you're getting a lot of function for very little cost. The one thing I will say that kind of ruins these shifters for me, though, is even though you got some decent shifting performance, when the time comes to actually change these gear cables, the way you usually do it is you'll take a little pick and you will pull up on this thing, and then you're able to slide the shifter cable out of these housings. And on some of these shifters, like this one right here, this is the real, sorry, on this other fake shifter that I have here, the casting on the inside is too high, so no matter how hard you are pulling up on this thing, you can't get it to slip past the little stopper wall here, and because of that you can't replace the shifter cable. So basically these are almost like these single-use razor blades where you really only get to use them once, and then as soon as this gear cable dies, you're going to be SOL, and you would just, I assume, buy a new fake shifter. So in terms of operating costs on these things, if you can't replace these shift cables, you have to replace the whole thing. That would be more expensive than a real Shimano shifter, where, as you can see, they did a good job making sure that they've got high quality plastic and it's been cast very well, so that when the time comes to actually replace the shift cable, you can do that. So just want to make that point. If you intend on owning fake Shimano shifters, this is one of the costs of ownership, is you're not really going to be able to replace these gear cables because they did a really bad job putting it together on the fakes. And then you can just look at this corrosion. Unfortunately these things are pretty robust and the metal is pretty thick, so like this surface rust isn't terrible, But at the same time, you know, if you plan on owning this thing for any longer than maybe like a year, I might start getting concerned that the shifter is just not doing that great. The other thing I don't like about these fakes is you can just see the amount of play that you have in your brake lever, and this thing that holds your brake cable. Like, I'm just not a fan of how cheap that is, or how cheap it feels, because your brakes are obviously super important for safety. So yeah, these though, I mean, for 14 bucks, you're getting what you pay for. You are cutting some corners in terms of safety, so it might be worth just spending the extra money buying a pair of used real shifters, because frankly the brakes here are a lot better machined, and you know, they're using probably higher quality materials and better tolerances. So you know, you can just see the differences here. Here's the adjusting screw on the real shifter that I think is used to adjust the throw on this brake, and you're able to see like how much you're able to pull on these brakes compared to the faked ones. So if the time came where you need to stop and you needed all the brakes you could get, I'd feel more comfortable having real Shimano shifters instead of the fake ones. The one thing I don't like about the fake or the real Shimano shifters is that you can see just over time the little plastic window here fades and it turns yellow, kind of looks disgusting. Same can be said of the little, you know, the red tape that marks where, you know, which gear you're in. You know, I don't really care which gear I'm in, but it just looks kind of very quickly, very worn down over time. And if that's the only thing that's concerning you, fortunately, with your fake shifters, this part is literally interchangeable with the real one. So for 14 bucks, you can replace the outer housing here and make it look basically brand new, and still have all the stuff that you get with the real shifter. So all the internal mechanisms and coatings and precision of real Shimano, but you're just getting a nicer exterior that you can replace every so often. So that's going to wrap up this review of the fake versus real shifter. You know, I think for safety, I'm going to advocate for everyone purchasing the real ones. If you're paying less than $30 or $40 for brand new Shimano shifters on eBay, just know that you're buying fakes. Don't even pretend like they could be real, because they're not. You know, they are decent quality. They will shift for you. They will brake for you. But you know, over time, the quality of materials, the quality of the coating, as you can already see in this case, is already rusting. I don't know how much you want to trust that compared to a real Shimano shifter. Even though this thing's used, you know, this thing has way more miles. This new one, or sorry, this real one has way more miles than this used one, but you can already see the insides of this are just a lot better put together. It's like a, you know, a good watch versus a cheap watch. So I'm gonna wrap things up there. Thank you all for watching. Let me know if you have any questions, and take care.